here we go. This is unit 5. It's the unit for this packet is for the entire unit. Don't lose it. You don't get another one. Okay, but it's for the whole 2 weeks. This packet is for 2 weeks. Okay. So this is unit 5. If I were you, I'd circle it or underline it so you know what unit this is. Okay, there we go. Okay. So you have done everything in this packet. Everything in this packet you already know or have been taught how to do. So we are not going to go extremely slow and learn everything again. You've got to make sure you're practicing outside of school. So the first thing I need you to do while I take attendance is I need you to do these 3 problems on the top to multiply them. Everybody should know how to multiply these. You have to multiply x times both of these and 3 times both of these. Ask your neighbor real quick if you need some help.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, let's check our first one. So if you haven't done it, you can keep going to the next one. Okay. So I have x times x. What is x times x? X squared. Then I have x times -4. What's x times -4? -4x. Then I have 3 times x. What's 3 times x? Positive 3x. And then I have 3 times -4. What's 3 times -4? -12. Which ones can I combine? The ones in the middle, those both x's. So I have x squared minus x minus 12. Can I combine any of those? No, I cannot. So that would be my answer. So if you have not done these 2, go get those 2 done for me really quick. I'll put the answers up so you can check, but don't copy them. It's not going to do you any good to copy anything. Okay, so check your answers. Don't copy. Copying's not going to help you. Take about 30 more seconds to multiply and then look up and check your answers. All right, are we ready? Okay, Okay, so you have to understand how to multiply before we can move on to the next section. X times x, what's x times negative 1? Then you have to go do this. What's negative 1 times x? X. And what's negative 1 times negative 1? Positive 1, which one's negative 5? I'm going to look exactly the same. Just your x's in the middle. Okay. All right. So we are taking pieces of information like x-intercepts, graphs, solutions, and we are going to be writing quadratic equations. So the first thing you need to know is everything we are dealing with is a quadratic. How do I know by reading an equation that it's a quadratic? What does a quadratic mean? So a quadratic means I have to have an x squared. You have to. Okay, if you don't have an x squared, you don't have a quadratic. So there are 3 words that mean x-intercept, and you should know one of those 3 words. What's the other word that means x-intercept that we've been using? No. Solutions. So I have solutions. I also have roots, and I have zeros. All of those mean the same thing. X-intercept, solutions, roots, zeros. You have to know all 4 words. If you're on a test and it says, what are the roots? And you say, Miss Bailey, what does this mean? I am going to walk away. You have to know that solutions, roots, zeros all mean x-intercepts, okay? So the first example, I give you a graph. And on that graph, we are going to use the x-intercepts to find our factors and to find a quadratic equation. This is a quadratic equation, which means I have to have an x squared, which means I have to have 2 pieces of information, okay? So everybody should be able to look at this graph and tell me your x-intercepts. What's your first x-intercept? -2, 0. Very good. What's my second x-intercept? 1, 0. And everybody should be able to take my x-intercepts and write them as a solution. So how do I take -2, 0 and write it as a solution? X equals -2 and x equals 1, okay? We are going to take our solutions and turn them into factors. Factors are what multiply together to get us a quadratic equation. So these up here are all factors. These are my factors, okay? So how do I take a solution and make it a factor? I'm going to take my first solution, x equals -2. Instead of x equals -2, I have to make it say equal 0. So I can't have a -2 here. I need it to say 0. So how do I move a -2 to the other side? What will I do to it? I will add 2 to both sides. Do I know what x plus 2 is? So what do I write? X plus 2 equals 0. Whatever is set to 0 is my factor. So my first factor is x plus 2. So let's go try it again with my second one. X equals 1. I have to move the 1 to the other side to get it to say equals 0. So how do I move a positive 1? Gonna subtract 1 from both sides. So I have x minus 1 equals 0. So what is my second factor? X minus 1. Now I'm going to take my factors and multiply them together. So I'm going to have x plus 2 times x minus 1. If you want to, this would be a good place to write. These are called factors. That's what these are right there. Those are my factors. So let's multiply just like we did on the 3 problems above. X times x is x squared. X times -1 is negative x. 2 times x is 2x. And 2 times -1 is -2. Which ones can I combine? -1x and positive 2x. So I have x squared plus 1x, or just x, minus 2. This is my quadratic equation. So that's the equation I have that can give me a graph with x-intercepts -2 and 1. All right? So let's go try another one. What do you notice is different about this graph? There's only one x-intercept. In reality, there has to be 2. Why does there have to be 2 x-intercepts? Because it's a quadratic, which means I need 2 x-intercepts. This is what is called a double root. A double root. So there are 2 x-intercepts, but where are they both located? At the same point, okay? So what is my x-intercept? -4, 0. Very good. What is my solution? X equals -4. My factor, x equals -4 on your paper. Find your factor by moving your -4. So what is my factor? X plus 4. Now here's where you have to understand it's a double root. Quadratic equation, quadratic, 2 things have to multiply. So if I have x plus 4, what's the second factor that has to multiply with it? X plus 4, the exact same thing. That's what a double root is, the same thing. And now let's multiply on our paper. X times x is x squared. X times 4 is 4x. 4 times x is 4x. And 4 times 4 is 16. So I have x squared plus what? 8x plus 16. What are these 2 things called right here that multiply together? Factors. And if you can know that now, then in about 5 days, it'll be way easier for you. Okay? Questions so far? Very repetitive steps, yes? Okay, let's go look at the next piece. What's different down here? I tell you what? I tell you the solutions. What's another word for solutions? Roots, what else? X-intercepts and zeros. So there's just no graph, but that doesn't make it any different. So if I have an x equals 3 as a solution, how do I write the first x-intercept? What's it going to say? 3, 0. Very good. What's my second x-intercept going to say? -5, 0. Can you go find your factors for me, please? Take your solutions and find your factors. When you find your factors, look up to see if they're the same as mine, and then go find your quadratic equation. you would like to, check your answers. Okay. And you may start on the second one. The second one looks a little tricky. What's different about it? It's a fraction one. So don't do the fraction one right now. Do the one that's not a fraction. Do the one that's not a fraction first while we wait for some others to catch up. Write your x-intercept. Find your factor of the one that's not a fraction. What's another word for solution? Zeros. What's another word? Roots, solutions, x-intercepts. You better know all those words. Okay. What is one of my x-intercepts? 4, 0. Very good. What's my second x-intercept? It's the exact same thing. -3/2, 0. Do not change it to decimals. We can't do that. It's not going to work. Okay. So let's go do our easy factor. The first easy factor is x equals 4. And when I subtract 4 to both sides, what do I get for my factor? So my first factor is x minus 4. Okay. Now everybody heads up looking for this one, please. X equals -3/2. How do I say that mathematically correct? -3 and then what? Divide by 2. How do I undo divide by 2? So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. What is 2 times x? 2x. What's left over on the right side? The -3. Well, now that looks a little easier. How do I move a -3 to the other side? I'm going to add 3 to both sides. So what will my factor be? 2x plus 3. So take your two factors and go multiply them. Does it matter which one comes first? No. Okay. Look up and check your answers. So the trickiest part about all of this is what? What's the trickiest part to you? Anybody? A fraction? Is that trick? Oh, there's no tricky part, Jerry. I like it. But none of it should be tricky as it all is the same steps. When you get a fraction, just remember, don't say -3/2. Say -3 divide by 2, because then right away it tells you how to undo it. Okay, so you have two choices. Listen to your choices today. Choice number 1, you may work on this assignment. Okay, this is the only day we are working on this assignment. So if you choose not to do this today in class, it has to be done either in Klein or as homework before you come to class on Wednesday. Choice number 2 is you may get out your test review or quiz, your quiz review or any of the assignments from last week if you need to practice this for your quiz tomorrow. Either one of those 2 assignments is fine, but I am not giving you another day to do this in class. So if you're not doing this today, it needs to be done at home. Are we on the same page? Okay. Here's what I'm going to do really quick. Everybody listen, because some of us are struggling and I can't have you struggle on this part. If you don't understand how to multiply this right here, then meet me at the back table with a sheet of notebook paper, and I'm going to show you an easy way to know how to do this. Be honest with yourself, because if you can't multiply this, you can't do any of this work. So if you are having a hard time multiplying, be honest with yourself. Bring a sheet of notebook paper to the back, and I will show you an easy way to get that done, okay? All right, get started on something.